everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Okay, today I'm going to be trying something brand new. I saw an artist named Stephen Miller who did a bonsai tree, and it was very cool. I love bonsai. I hope that one day when I retire, as if artists ever retire, but someday I hope to have myself a little bonsai nursery along with orchids. So we'll see. I like things that are really hard to grow and often disappoint you. So, so I'm going to be doing a bonsai today, and this is what I have going on. I'm using mixed pouring medium, and I have a bunch of pigments here, and all I've done is mix the pigment with the mixed pouring medium. I haven't added anything else to it. So I add a bit of the mixed pouring medium to the bottom of my cup, add the pigment, mix it together, and then I add more pouring medium. Be sure to wear a mask when you're working with pigments. Once a pigment gets into your lung, it is not coming out. So definitely wear a mask. You don't want to mess around with that. If you want to get yourself some mixed pouring medium, you need to email krista8974@gmail.com, and you can get yourself some of this mixed pouring medium. The colors I have going on today. All right. So as far as the pigments go, I have this here, which is this little piggy in Echeveria. I think that's how you say it. That's the Mina Villegas inspired color. And this darker green is the Color Art Primary Elements in Fresh Pine. I have the Color Art Bling It in Interference Gold. That's this one up front. I have Interference Green by Color Art Bling It line. And this gorgeous little small but mighty. This is the brand new Stuck Up Pigs. These will be released very, very soon for purchase on the fluidart.co website. This one is Boastful, and it is a chameleon pigment. I don't know if the light is going to show this, but it is super, super cool. I don't really think that's showing up, unfortunately. But it is a green interference, and it is absolutely beautiful. I mean, not green interference, it's chameleon. It is many colors. There's blue, there's a teal, there's flashes of gold in there, but it is the primary color that you see the most is green. The other colors I have, this brown is a mixture of Arteza, Van Dyke Brown, and Sangria Red. The Van Dyke Brown was a little bit of a cool brown, and I wanted to warm it up, so I added that Sangria Red to it. This is Titanium White with a bit of this brown added to it. You'll notice that I do that a lot in paintings. I will add one color to another color. And the reason for that is I didn't want a straight white background. I wanted it to have a slight color to it to warm it up a bit. And this color, this is a mixture of, it was some leftover colors. It was Liquitex Basics, Mars Black, Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, and I think there was a touch of Titanium White in that. But it essentially kind of makes like a Payne's Gray almost. Those were leftover paints that I'd put together. I think I covered everything here. The pigments are mixed with mix. The other regular paints are also mixed with mix. 1 part paint to 2 parts mix, and then I add water to it to make it the same consistency as the pigments. And the pigments are just going to pretty much just be the consistency of the mixed pouring medium itself. So I'm thinning the regular paints to make them the same consistency as mixed pouring medium. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each one has an associated video here on YouTube that will give you all of the information that you need, the exact paint, brands, the color, consistency, the recipe, of course, the technique, all of the things that I can't fit on a card. And this is the picture of the painting in that particular video. This box contains a tip for that particular technique. And at the bottom, you have the color palette that was used in that painting. And then these two boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette. And we also have 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a base coat. Oh, let me show you the consistency just in case. So this is the consistency. It's making a mound, but it disappears quickly. That's about the consistency of mix. Okay, I am switching over to voiceover because I am going to be moving at a higher rate of speed. So what I'm doing, I'm starting with well, obviously I lay down my base coat. And now I'm just taking a skewer and I'm going to sketch out the shape of my trunk. And I'm using a reference photo. You know, with this kind of art, it's going to be so different from the reference photo. You know, this isn't a very exact thing. This is kind of more just the composition of the plant itself. So this is a very forgiving method of painting, right? If you come in and you don't love it, you can lift out what you just put in. You can move it around. Of course, it has its limitations, but it's not permanent. While it's still wet, you know, you could scrape the whole thing if you had to. But most mistakes I find can be, for the most part, you can kind of mess around with it and get it to a place where you're happy. But I'm just sketching in the general composition. And, you know, to some, this part might be intimidating. Just getting this part down. There's my little palette knife that I'm using from Fluid Art Company. That I'm going to be laying in the trunk. If this is intimidating to do it on a canvas, practice it on paper first. As many times as you need to get it to where you can feel comfortable doing it on a canvas. But even doing it on the canvas, you can still change it up. I don't follow those lines exactly. It was just more to give me blocking kind of on my canvas. Trying to make sure that my composition is where I want it, and it wound up getting big on me. So that's something that I will note for next time, to kind of work a little smaller. So this is the interference gold and the brown together. And what I wanted was for it to kind of appear like the trunk was twisting, and this part that I'm swiping right here is kind of more of an exposed branch, like the bark had come off. And I actually showed the dried piece at the end. I've missed a couple of days, but it actually gave me a chance to get ahead. And so I have dried pieces to show you at the end of the videos. Yay, I know some of you wanted that, so that's coming. So I'm really just trying to focus on getting these angles right. You know, the direction of the swoop really gives it even more more depth, more 3D effect. And so now I'm bringing in some of that interference. So that's just going to kind of be a little bit of, you know, some striations in the darkest part, kind of just making it look a little bit more gnarly. The trunk came out really, really well. Like it's my favorite part of it. So I will definitely be carrying that on into the next time I attempt this. That concept worked out really well. So now I am laying in my trees. That's the fresh pine. It's a very pretty green, but it has a very interesting effect that you will see later. And I think that was the Echeveria, and then the interference green. And that is the stuck-up pig. And then I'm deciding that I need more green in there. So I probably had too much paint, as some of you may already be saying to yourself, that is too much paint. Yep, it was. It was too much paint. My top part of the canopy got a little too bushy. Could have used a trim. It took up too much of the canvas. The composition was kind of off for me because that top part was just so big. It needed more space. But, you know, that's what we do. We learn. This is why we start on small canvases, right? You know, if you're going to do something big, you definitely want to try it small first. Get it right. Figure out what could go wrong. Here I am adding more. That's going to help. Look, you know what? We all have learning curves. I had a thing in my head and I was trying to make it happen. The blowing wasn't quite making it happen on its own. So you'll see I kind of come in and adjust it. Wish I had thought of it before I added more paint. But here we are. I'm just even making it bigger. Just I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'm trying to get the shape where I want it, but it's just not happening. So now I'm bringing in another branch. It is I think that was mostly that brown color. with a touch of the interference gold. And just piling that paint on. More paint. More paint for the party. Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about bonsai. They're supposed to be very, well maintained and almost like controlled chaos, right? Like the branches can be very gnarly and twisted, but it's all by design. You train them to grow and you're cutting off little tiny leaves. This is like the chaos bonsai. Just full chaos. Yeah. No trimming of this bonsai. This is a 1970s bonsai. It's just allowed to do whatever it wants. And then, as you know, as I have mentioned, in matters of design and nature, odd numbers are your friend. So I'm bringing in that third grouping. Not grouping, but that third little bushy part. And giving it a branch so it's just not floating in outer space there. This would have been a lot better if that big part was smaller for me. Like it's just I want that smaller so much. That's the one thing that is hard to do, is to make it smaller. So now I'm bringing in the little planter. And you will see later on that there was a mishap. But I wind up putting feet on this thing and my surface wasn't level. And it was running off, so I kind of had to just blend the feet in. Perhaps do I cut the feet out? I don't even remember. Bigsby is here. He hears me talking. He thinks it's for him. He's been over here groaning. He makes a lot of cranky noises. And then he purrs like crazy. Okay, so now I'm bringing in this like mossy area. Basically, it would just be like moss and branches, right? I guess you could paint pebbles in there if you so chose. Okay, so now this is my little scribble technique. I actually, when I draw trees, I kind of do this little scribble technique to fill in leaves quickly. And I was like, well, I wonder what it would look like if I did my little scribble. And it kind of added a cool dimension to it. It helped me to give it the appearance of a bit more leafiness, less smoothed out. Yeah, this is actually like a really quick way to draw trees with a pen. I've done whole landscapes just using this scribble technique as shading. And then just tidying up the branches, making sure they connect. Okay, and now I decided it needed feet. The feet wind up no longer being there, but I like the way it looked with the feet. I will make sure that that I sit it in the exact right spot. The table that it was drying on is a folding table, and so the center has a peak in it. And if it's not sitting just the right spot, it's going to lean in one direction, and I had it sitting slightly off, and so bad things happened. Boy, can paint sure move over time. Okay, and I felt like that needed a bit more green, a little more contrast in there. So I'm just adding a bit more of that. And here's the piece. Here it is. Let me get this video before I mess it up even more. As you can see, my little feet are gone. So, I basically just had to fix that bottom. I did add like a little table looking thing there because it kind of looked weird just floating on that canvas. I needed to anchor it somehow. But I think when this dries and all those pigments come to life and do the things that they do, it's going to be very cool. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Please do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Do check out the description box below for links to my affiliates. Color Art being one of them. Get yourself some of these pigments. I have several affiliate links in there. If you use the links provided or the coupon codes, I will get a small commission at no additional cost to you. Also, you will find the links to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music for sale and the Fluid Art Inspiration cards. And also, you will find in the description box the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net. Join us there, post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. All right, that is it for me for today. I'll probably be trying this again and improving my technique. That's my first go at it. Okay, I wanted to show you the dry piece and how this worked out. So I took some of that leftover background paint and kind of went over the area that was bleeding, and it just kind of bled through that too. So that fresh pine is, it definitely kind of leaches into the background paint. And you can see it comes through the canvas too. That's some powerful stuff right there. But I've seen like Michelle Galley, she actually uses that to her advantage in her pours. It's pretty cool what she does. But I also want to show you how the green part came out. It has a very 3D effect. Kind of feels like leaves. So, you know, this is different than Stephen Miller. The way he does it, he does more of a swipes and has cells going on. I was kind of trying for something a little different, but I love how the trunk came out. That is exactly what I was picturing in my mind, how that trunk looks. That's the interference gold. You know, so from straight on, you know, it doesn't have that, quite have that effect, but as soon as the light starts hitting it at an angle, it just takes on a new life. Very 3D effect. And then this little mossy area that I created is looking decent. And my rescued pot. So while the overall composition isn't exactly what I was hoping for, and you know, my execution could have been better, and I probably would skip that fresh pine next time because of the bleeding. But overall, I think it's a really fun piece. It's a fun technique, and I will probably do another one because I want one that, you know, I'm 100% happy with. So I'll do it again. But there it is. Hope you have a beautiful day. Go make smart.